Welcome to these sci-fi guys. I am Dave, your host, and let me go full screen here. And just want to welcome you guys here to us. Uh, just want to go ahead and throw up our little ticker banner here, and you can follow us on at these sci-fi guys. That's on Twitter or X, as it's now called. And you can also email us these sci-fi guys at gmail.com. You can find us right here on YouTube. At these sci-fi guys. And then that when I say sci-fi, it's SCI. Make sure we get that. All right. And with me as always is my buddies John and Chad. And Chad came up with the movie today. He's the one that chose it. And as you kind of saw it pop up earlier, it's Highlander. A little bit different of a type of a movie. It's not fully sci-fi. It's maybe a little bit more fantasy, but there's maybe a little bit of sci-fi in there. So we decided to go ahead and go with it. Chad wanted to, so we said, okay. All right, let me go ahead and read a synopsis here for you guys. Just so if you haven't seen the movie, you'll know what it's about. And it's a doozy. So, okay. So here we are, 1985. After brooding during a wrestling match, and he does this brooding a lot, by the way. If you haven't watched the movie, you'll constantly get the look the whole time. Connor McLeod leaves and encounters an old enemy. Don't really care what his name is or why. And why is he an enemy? We don't know. It doesn't tell us. Just that he meets him in the parking garage, a sword duel commences, and Connor beheads this guy because just everybody carries swords under their coats. You know, it happens all the time. Connor hides his swords in the garage because he doesn't want it on him because he knows he's going to tear out of there like a bat out of I don't know what, just driving like all get out, and the cops arrest him. Go figure, because you're acting like a criminal. All right. But they had to release him because there was lack of evidence. All right. So Connor's history is revealed through a series of flashbacks. In the Scottish Highlands in 1536, he enters his first battle. And the Krugrin, can't pronounce it, fatally stabs Connor in the chest. Inexplicably, Connor makes a complete recovery, compelling his lover and his cousin to accuse him of witchcraft. The clan wishes to kill him, but his other cousin mercifully exiles him. Connor wanders the highlands, becoming a blacksmith, and marries a woman named Heather. I just want to mention her name because Heather. All right. So exactly. So now we have James Bond shows up. I mean, Juan Sanchez Villa Lobos Ramirez. We're just going to call him Ramirez, okay? A swordsman from Spain, but he is an Egyptian with an English accent. Finds Connor after tracking the Quran to Scotland. He explains that he, Connor, and the Quran are all immortal. And others like him were born immortals, and they are destined to battle each other. The only way to kill an immortal is to behead them. The few who shall be left shall be drawn to a faraway land. New York City. For the gathering. It's the final battle for the prize, the power of all the immortals through time. Ramirez reveals that the immortals cannot have children and believes they must ensure evil people like the Quran do not win the prize, or else humanity will suffer an eternity of darkness. Okay, Ramirez trains Connors, and the two become friends. One night, while Connor is away doing whatever, we don't know, it doesn't make any sense, Ramirez is sitting there talking to Connor's girlfriend, wife, Heather, and anyway, Quran shows up, decapitates Ramirez. Years later, Heather dies of old age, prompting Connor to wander the earth. And he takes Ramirez's katana as his own. In 1985, now we're back to current time, at least for the movie, the time of gathering approaches, and the Quran is compelled to come to New York City, where Connor now lives as an antique dealer under the alias Russell Nash. working with his confidant and adopted daughter, Rachel Einstein, whom he saved during the Nazi occupation. Brenda Wyatt, a metallurgical expert working for the police as a forensic scientist, finds shards of Connor's sword at the death that I mentioned earlier, um, in the garage, and is puzzled that they came from a Japanese sword that dated around 600 BC, but they were made with medieval era methods. Brenda witnesses the Koran attack on Connor before the police arrive, forcing them to flee. She meets with Connor twice afterwards, hoping to learn about this paradoxical sword. Connor likes her, but tells her, "Leave me alone," and broods more. Brenda confronts Connor, who explains his true identity, which immediately makes her want to sleep with him. The Koran finds out about their newfound intimacy and kidnaps Brenda to draw Connor out. Connor decides to leave behind the Russell Nash identity, says goodbye to Rachel, and confronts the Koran. I think it's Kurgan, but I'm just like,
Kurgan.
Kurgan. Sorry, I've been saying Koran the whole time. It's Kurgan. My apologies. Uh, okay. Anyway, so he rescues Brenda in the process. After a long duel, Connor outfights and decapitates the Kurgan, absorbing the massive power and winning the ultimate prize. Connor returns to Scotland with Brenda and reveals that he is now a mortal man who can age and have children. He is also now able to read the thoughts and feelings of people all around the world. And remembering Ramirez's lessons, he hopes to encourage cooperation, understanding, and peace among humanity. That is a brief synopsis of what happened. What a crazy movie. All right, Chad, you're up.
Yeah, it might be crazy, but it's been going on since '86 to 2007 was when the last movie was made.
Well, I'll tell you, as the 15-year-old David would have loved this movie. Everything about it would have been like, oh, yes, gosh, oh, that's awesome, great. 50-plus-year-old David says, bad sword fighting, bad acting, just, but it was the 80s. I
Yeah.
get it. I was around then, so I understand.
All right. So, first question. So you're Connor McLeod, and you find out that you died and came back to life. What would you do? Like, what would just you find out, and then you don't know why you do it until later on.
John, do you want to do
I
this
mean,
one?
in
Because
context, I'm hoping I don't get blamed for witchcraft like you did. Let's start off there because that would be a horrible way to wake up. Just kind of wake up, get thrown into the thick of it, even if conversations happen first. I mean, I don't want that to happen. Now, if I realize I died and come back to life, first of all, I'm probably going to test it somehow. Maybe fight some battle I've been putting off, something, and just try to test it over time, see how real the ability is. Now, that's
Groundhog
pending
Day?
how I wake up. Yeah, something like that. Just keep living over and over and call it a day. But it'd be a different day. That's the beauty of it. It wouldn't be the same day. It'd just be a different day over and over. So I think if I discovered the ability, I would take full advantage of it, and I would probably just ending up doing stupid stuff I wanted to just to see what would happen.
Yeah, I kind of see the same thing, but slightly different. See, I've actually been dead. It was 7 minutes. I mean, it wasn't long. It was just a few minutes. It was a medical procedure I was having done, and the anesthesiologist accidentally gave me too much anesthesia, because I was kind of coming out of it and thrashing around or something, and they were like, "Oh, let's give him more," and then I flatlined. So I was flatlined for like 7 minutes. So I understand what it's like coming back from the dead, because you're just, when you wake up, you're just like, what's going on? I woke up in a hospital room. I'm like, why am I here? I was having nasal surgery last time I met, and it does give you a new outlook on life, you know, not knowing you're immortal, but just that you got a second chance. That's the way I kind of look at it. Is I had a second chance on things that I didn't do before. You know, I mean, like now I retired early. You know, that was one of the things. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to work until I die. I'm going to retire early. We're going to have fun. We're going to enjoy life. And I think I kind of, if I was Connor, I'd kind of do the same thing. I would enjoy life. And then as you notice, as he notices that he's not getting older, but his wife is, or everybody else, then I think it really would have definitely taken, the next step in like, oh, maybe I should test this out. You know, I don't think I would have tested out right away though.
No, I wouldn't test it out. You know, I would have probably done the same. Try to test. Oh, am I really immortal? And then so you find out that you married, and your person you married is getting older and older. So now what you do this, and then I can just live my life, marry, and go to a different region and do the same thing, reestablish yourself. So yeah, I can see it. So same premise. Now you have Ramirez come in and you have another mortal that is friendly and say, "Hey, this is who you are. Why are we doing this?" To prove the point. So next question. So it's all about swords in this movie. What kind of sword would you choose to carry to do battle with? You muted, David.
Sorry. Can I say lightsaber? Because I'm a Star Wars guy. I would have a lightsaber all day long if I could.
That's unfair.
It's
I mean,
unfair.
I know it's unfair. I mean, but I'm just saying, I would if if it was a realistic weapon,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I would. And actually, I would have the ultimate hilt too. I would have, I'm just going to use this flashlight for example. I would have it look like a flashlight, so nobody would bother with it. Oh, it's just a flashlight. But then you'd go click click click, do a certain way, then push the button, and then it would, But actually, for regular swords, I'm a katana guy. I lived in Japan for 4 years, so I kind of and actually I have one right here but this one is a little bit different. It's a shorter one,
Yeah.
if you can see,
Mm-hmm.
because the longer ones are just way too hard to. You didn't ask the question, but if the way I would fix this movie. Okay, first of all,
It's coming.
yeah, trench coat, really? I mean, and you got to hide a sword. If you're going to hide a sword, it needs to be a short sword. Then, something that you could actually hide under clothes. I mean, a long sword would stick out at the bottom or something eventually. So, but yeah, I would still stick with a katana, but I would have something at least I could use just one hand and not always a two-handed sword, or something like that. John, how about you?
Personally, I went more Final Fantasy side with a huge Buster Sword. Forget hiding the thing. I'm just going to full on carry all the time. Huge, absolutely crazy, ridiculous sized weapon. If we're going into this, we're going into this full steam ahead. And plus, I think personally, at least, if we're talking me over him, um, my body size lends itself to a larger sword anyway. So I would love just having a huge Buster Sword on my back that I just take out and swing like a old school butcher back in the day. Um, I think that would be more my style. Highly impractical, but wonderfully visually made and well adept at just looking intimidating. So I think that would be the route I would personally go. How about you?
Yeah, I like the katana, but I really like the I'm gonna say Braveheart sword, the very long sword that you muted, David. So yeah, the big long sword that Braveheart had and he threw. I just like that style of sword. So other than that, I like the story behind his katana. If you saw it in the movie, it was actually from another wife that he had.
Right. Yeah, it had a little different end on it.
Yeah,
Kind of had like a lion face or something. I mean,
Dra-
I tried getting
dragon.
closer.
It's a
What?
dragon face. Dragon.
Oh, a dragon face. Okay, because I couldn't really see it because I was watching it on my computer screen. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I like katana swords. I like how it's a little bit curvy, but I'd rather be a little stealthy about it, because I mean, we still have to live in this world. There's
Yeah,
still going to be cops and stuff are going to say, "Why are you carrying that?"
yeah. So you were getting at a question. So in this movie, what would you? I got there's a two part, but first one, what would you do differently in that time in '86 to make it better, Jonathan?
I think I would make it genuinely more sci-fi. If we're going the whole like they're immortals and they're through time, I would almost go the chase through time route. Like over time, they travel through time and they land in different time periods and try to fight each other that way. I think I would stick more to that. And then for some reason, there's like some convergence where, like the gathering, like they all end up at this time at various times, and they all try to get out of it in different time travel ways, but they all end up having to go to the gathering, and in some huge fight with the gathering and call it a day that way instead of Garong just like going through and mass murdering everyone along the way, which that could be part of the chase too, I guess, just ending in the two of them. But I think I would go more time travel chase and set the tone that way because I think even in the '80s they could have managed that if we're sticking with the in their time period kind of way. I think that would be my big change.
I like it. I like it. It's totally different than my thing. I actually thought one to make the lead character a woman. I think that would be kind of cool. Well, one, think about it. If you have to hide a sword, what is the easiest way to do it? I mean, I think about if the summer comes. I don't care if you're in New York City. The summer comes, you're not going to be walking around with a trench coat on. It's going to be obvious. But a woman can wear a dress, and you can go ahead and have it attached to her leg or attached to the dress or whatever. So, and I think I would also make the lead actress someone like Uma Thurman, or along that. I mean, she did Kill Bill 1 and 2. I mean, and she knows how to use a sword pretty darn
Yeah,
good. So that's kind of the route I was thinking is, okay, first of all, make it a little bit more concealable. Second of all, let's have a female lead. Third, you know, um, make it a little bit more fun, because I mean, he was just kind of brooding all the time. I mean, I don't know if you did any research on this or not, Chad, but the guy, they were like, they saw him and they were like, we want him, and then they found out he hardly spoke any English when when they had to, and then he struggled with all the lines, so that's why you see his face, just that whole look that he has,
yeah.
and that's what they wanted, was the look, and it's like, okay.
Or
So that's what I would, yeah, that's what I would change. What about you, Chad? What would you
see,
change?
see, thing is, I love the Highlander series. I love it, but you watch the first movie and you come to the scene of wrestling match and all of a sudden he's fighting the guy, chop the head off. So it leaves a why did he do that? Yeah, start asking questions. So right after that, I probably done leave that about the same, and then jump to him back in when he became immortal, and it's to explain some more stuff. Then let it keep going. Then jump. Then I some movies I hate. I don't like jumping back and forth, but some movies I do. Like this one, it kind of helps explain. But other than that, actor, I like the actor because get this. So not only is it a movie, it's actually was a TV series from about '92 and about 2000s, and he made an appearance in the first season. He made an appearance in some more of the seasons in it, but it really drug what you see in this movie to there. So other than that, that's about it. Um, so the other part, I done some research, and they was actually planning on to remake this movie. So I kind of tied this question into it. So if they were to remake the movie, who would you cast as Highlander, and would you follow the original Highlander or the cousins? And that's the cousin. That's what the series come into. Is the series follows Duncan MacLeod that comes out about 100 years later than Connor.
I think I would do again, like I said, I would do a female lead, and I would do it as she was the Highlander. I like the idea of the cousin. I think that was because I mean I know there was a series out there. I knew I saw some of it, but I mean I don't remember. Again, I've never seen this movie before. This which is saying something. I'm from the 80s. You think I would have seen all the action movies and all that. The only reason I knew anything about Highlander is from Foxtrot comics, where the kid is like, these are the coolest thing. They all walk around with swords and cut their heads off. That's all I
Yeah.
remember. That's all I knew about the whole thing is they carried around swords and they cut their heads off. That was it. So yeah, I would. That's what I would do. I would stick with the Highlander just because I know the story. I don't know anything about the cousins, um, so I don't. I'd have to stick with that. John, how about you?
In terms of recasting Highlander himself, modern actors, maybe Jason Momoa, I think would do a killer, huge hair, all of that. Uh, maybe and the great tribal tattoos kind of fit almost any historic nation, so I think that would work out well. There's also a guy I watch on YouTube called Rhett McLaughlin, and I think he could pull off the old Scottish look just fine and call it a day. Maybe not the accent, but I think he could pull off the general look of Highlander. Now, in terms of following Highlander as cousin, I think I'd stick uh, mostly to the original story. Then you could always create that spin off too if you still wanted. But for me to be Momoa or McLaughlin, just for the heck
Yeah.
of it.
See, the thing is, I'll still follow the Connor. I mean, spin off to the cousin later on, but I always like the guy who played Richard, the first couple seasons of Richard on Netflix, Carval, Henry. But that's who they was actually trying to do it with. But other than
Mhm.
that, I would have done something Momoa or somebody that's more Scottish speaking. So I don't, other than even you could say what was this uh Hours Elba. That's actually from United Kingdom. That way you can kind of play off that.
That would be kind of difficult, though. I mean, think about it in the 1500s, the look.
Yeah,
That's why. I mean, I actually thought, if you were to do a modern day woman, because you said 86,
yeah.
that's why I originally thought of Uma Thurman. But if you were to, modern day, I was thinking, what's her name? Gal. Uh, how do you pronounce it? Gudat.
Godot.
Thank you. The one that was Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
not sure her look is like Scottish ancestry. I think Uma can do that with the blonde hair, the light hair, uh, and or even a red hair. I'm just not sure. Gull with her kind of uh, olive skin would. That's why I'm not sure Jason Momoa would actually go over as well as say
No, no, no. You
somebody.
just dye his hair. Just dye his hair. He's fine.
We'll go with
or
that. Sure.
or color grade it and just call it a day. Cast a yellow tint over it. It'll take some of that out, or maybe a blue tint on the film and take out some of his skin tone. Just call it a day.
I can see that. Yeah. Excuse me.
I would also say
Right.
maybe like a prime Hugh Jackman too. He'd have to grow his hair out, but
Yeah.
I can see it. I mean, really, it would definitely be different. All right, Chad, what's your next thing you wanted to ask us?
Next thing is so I got two more. The ones we always ask. Well, I think we asked that. So last one. So what was the series based? Was it series based on anything? And that's just what.
I actually tried looking this up, and it's based on like multiple things.
Yeah.
One of them was a Ridley Scott novel. I couldn't. I don't remember the name of it though. I know it was a Ridley Scott short story. Um,
Duelist.
Duelist. Thank you. And then there was another one that it was also based on. Actually, I got it right here. Um, yeah, a story by Gregory Wyden.
Something about Shadow something.
Yeah, Shadow Clan or
Yeah.
something. So this if you were to rewrite this story today, I think it would be better than they did in '86 for sure.
Yeah,
Because I think you would, like you said, that you would be able to do the flashbacks in between some of the action scenes that were happening modern day, and you would be able to tell the story a little bit better. Because there was some times I was just like, what? All right, what? I mean, just it didn't. I was lost for a little bit, and then I was like, oh, when Sean Connery showed up, I was like, oh, and then he kind of explained everything.
yeah.
It
See,
was almost like, why didn't you guys have that at the beginning, or in between, like you said, they're fighting, and then have that little, you know, that fuzzy, hey, we're going to a different time zone to look, and then we're gonna show what's happening there, and then go back to the fight for a little bit, and then go back, yeah. I don't.
yeah,
I'm with you, Chad. I typically don't like that, especially like when I read books. I'm like, no, I want to know what happens. But I think in this case, you said it right earlier. It would have made it a little bit easier to follow the story, to go
yeah.
on what was happening.
See, another thing is like the movie's great, but I love the TV series. The TV series does it a little bit. It's not trying to cram an hour and a half into this. It's a hour long. It's almost like hour long show that has multiple show episodes in it, and it's up to about 7 seasons, I think.
Yeah, I watched the trailer of it, and you could tell it's a lot more different time periods instead of just, okay, we're in the 1500s and now we're in 1985, and oh, hey, we'll throw Nazi occupation in there
Yeah,
at one
and
point. But I can tell the series, it does a lot more different time periods. At least it's the trailer looked like that. You'd have to tell us if we're wrong or not.
no, it does. But it's like it shows where they make the immortals will find each other, and they don't always fight each other. They become friends, and they make friends and allies, and they all know why they're doing it, and they know towards the end they're gonna have to fight each other, but they want the good to prevail the bad. But talking about Rachel in the movie, the little girl is not. You didn't find that out till towards the middle of the movie, and you're like, "Huh, that's the person that was working the receptionist." That's
Right?
the
Yeah. Until he called her Rachel,
yeah,
almost the end of the movie, you were like, oh, he's the little girl. She's the little girl. Okay, then you put that back to.
yeah. They put it back there, and she wants. She told Connors, "Hey, you need to live your life. Don't stop being moping around." So that's the thing. Connor didn't want to live his life. He wanted to just be out there and alone and not cause nobody harm.
He
So
just wanted to brood more because he
yeah,
was so good at it. He was just so good.
but you can't complain. Lambert played it good, but
Yeah, he
you
did.
you could have done. They could probably find somebody else better to speak a little bit better English, but the way he played it was the right way to play it. If you go back and look at it, so
I agree. It's just that the opening scene is what threw me
yeah,
off. It's like you're at a wrestling match and you're just sitting there brooding and just wait, and like something's coming, but you're not enjoying life. You're not watching the wrestling match, which it was a pretty good wrestling match for back then too,
yeah,
And it's like, and then next thing you know, you walk out, and then, oh, I gotta go. There's something going on. I must fight this guy. And again, there was just it was so confusing. Like, okay, why is he looking like that? Why is it?
yeah. They didn't do such a good job in the beginning,
Yeah.
and
I mean, I think they could have told a better story, but like you said, they probably did in the series. It was probably done better. Um,
because you got to
you know,
stay. This was came out 86. I think he said 85, but 85, 86 just. And then the series came out about 92. But there was another movie after this one back in the 89, 90s. It was called Highlander 2. Don't get lost into that one. It's it's crazy, but it kind of throws you back into the loop. But this whole series, if you want to watch this, it's a great movie to watch. It's a great thing to get into. There's lot of fandom out there with it too, and almost like a cult classic if you look at it. They got a big following.
Hmm. I never got into it when I was a kid, and I don't know why. I would have loved this. It's some of those things. I mean, sometimes you don't end up watching a TV series or something till way later. I got two friends of mine. They're watching Babylon 5 right now for the first time. They've never seen the show. The show's over 30 years old, and they're just now watching it, and they're
Yeah.
doing a podcast about it. So they're like, Brett and Jeff, and if you guys are watching, I'm talking about y'all. But yeah, I mean, they're watching it for the first time, a 30-year-old show, and I actually go back and I'm watching it with them, and I'm like, I only watched up to the first three seasons. I didn't see 4 and 5. I have no idea what happens next. So I'm kind of watching it with them too, and I'm like, oh, I should have seen this sooner. So Highlander might be one of those other things too that we may end up. I don't know when. I've got tons of movies to watch with you
Yeah.
guys, so we'll see. But and trying to keep up with some of the modern stuff that's out there now uh, that I'm trying to keep up with. But whew,
Yeah,
we'll see.
that's
Yeah,
about it.
that's about it. All right. Well, hey, that was it was definitely it was an '80s movie for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I enjoyed it. It was definitely different. Uh, the next movie, actually, John and I were talking about this today. Because he wasn't sure exactly which one he wanted to do, so I was like, look, I went ahead and made a decision. I picked the next movie. So where's my mouse? There it is. All right. So we watched Highlander today. Okay, the next movie is a classic. It's the oldest movie we've seen yet. Maybe the oldest movie we're going to see. Planet of the Apes from 1968. All right. We're going to go back to some old school. All right. Charlton Heston,
Hmm.
some really old stuff. I kind of have a plan for this because there's a movie I want to see, and I'm kind of laying the groundwork before we get to that one. Some of these other movies that I'm picking uh, will make that other movie make more sense. So that's why I'm doing that. In the order I'm doing them, in the order I'm picking them in. So, but yeah, I'm excited. I haven't seen Planet of the Apes in years. Um, they did do a sequel. They did several sequels.
Yeah.
They did several movies of those. Then they
The
did
re-
a
they did.
reboot
Yeah.
first with Mark Wahlberg, which I loved. But then they left it on a cliffhanger and
Yeah.
never did another one. And then they rebooted again. You know, um, early 2010s, I think it was. With oh gosh, the guy that was he played on the first Spider-Man movie.
Tommy
Um,
McGuire.
I guess, yeah, sure, yeah,
I
I think
didn't
so.
see that. I didn't see about that one. I knew Wahlberg. I watched
Yeah,
that one.
the newer ones are
Yeah. Okay.
they're okay. I mean, they're nothing like the classic. The classics
No. You,
are I
you
don't know.
can't. But.
I mean, because they did those, they did several movies, and then they did, I think, a TV series on it for a
Hmm.
while in the early '70s. Obviously, Charlton Heston wasn't in it,
No.
in those, but the premise was there, because they already had the suits made and all that, and they were like, "Well, heck, let's just keep going with it." But anyway, we've already said our things. John, you got any final departing thoughts?
Just A, I'm excited to watch another classic. B, I had no idea what to expect going into Highlander. I am glad I got to see it, but boy was it interesting. That's all for me.
There only could be one.
There can only be one. And with that, we're out of here. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Peace.